So input output analysis. So input output analysis kwa wale wamejoin sahi. So input output analysis.
Recording in progress.
So input output analysis. So let me make the board ukiingia una mute tafadhali. Sawa sawa. I think iko sawa. So tunasema input output analysis. Input output analysis. Input output analysis. So input output analysis. Input output analysis. Input output analysis. So the topic is QA. So quantitative analysis. Quantitative analysis. Topic is input output analysis. Input output analysis. Input output analysis. So input output analysis. Input output analysis. So input output analysis. Now, when we talk about the input output analysis, we are talking about when sectors are interdependent to each other. When we talk about the input output analysis, it is a situation where each sector in an economy depends on each other. So in most cases, you find that the sectors in the economy depends on each other. So let us write and say that refers to the study of sectors. Refers to study of sectors. Refers to the study of sectors. Refers to the study of how sectors. Sorry. Refers to the study of how sectors. Sectors of an economy depend on each other. Of economy depends on each other. Depends. Let me look up and look up. Depends on each other. On each other. So refers to the study of how of how sectors of economy depends on each other. And I've said that sectors in the economy depends on each other to survive. So the producer depends on the consumer, and the consumer also depends on the producer. So we talk about, for example, producer. So producer is when we talk about producers are the part of the economy, and then you have the consumers. For example, consumers also form the part of the economy. So those two people depends on each other. So that is the scenario behind it. You can say sectors are interdependent. Sectors are interdependent. The sectors are interdependent or interdependence. The sectors are interdependent. So the sectors are interdependent. Aha. Then you can, i.e., you can say, i.e., how does a center, how does, you can say, how does a center obtain raw material? How does a sector, not a center, how does a sector obtain raw material, and and how a sector produces output, and how does a sector produces output. So that's what we are saying, they're interdependent. So one sector depends for another sector for material, another sector depends for another sector for output. That's what we mean when you say interdependence. And then it is usually represented in a table. It is usually represented in a table form. So when we talk about input output analysis, it is usually represented in a table. It is usually represented in a table, and we can say, number one, if represented in a whole figure, if represented in whole figure, if represented in whole figure, if represented in whole figure, it is called transaction matrix. It is called transaction matrix. So if represented in the whole figure, it is called the transaction matrix. It is called the transaction matrix. If represented in ratios, if represented in ratios, it is called, so represented in ratio, it is called technological coefficient matrix. Technological coefficient matrix. Coefficient matrix. So the first one is transaction matrix. The second one is the technological coefficient matrix. Technological coefficient matrix. Input output analysis, another definition. So another definition we can say input output matrix. Input output matrix refers to the technique. Refers to the technique. Refers to the technique of studying the production structure. Of studying production structure of the economy. Production structure of the economy. Of the economy. Of the economy. So in refer to the technique of studying the production structure of the economy, considering mutual dependency. Considering considering mutual interdependency. Considering mutual interdependency of various production sector of various production sector. Okay, that one is fine. Now it is characterized by inputs equals outputs. It is characterized by inputs equals output. So it is characterized by inputs equals output. i.e., this means that whatever is produced is consumed. That means that whatever is produced is consumed. So whatever is produced is also consumed. That is what we mean by the word interdependence. So, and in that case, input equals output. So inputs equals output. And then it is assumed the model, this model, the input output assumes. So the model assumes assumes that industries or sectors, the models assume that the industry or the sectors do not produce in isolation, do not produce in isolation. So it assumes that industry or the sectors do not produce in isolation, but they rely on each other. But they rely on each other. So it assumes that the industry do not produce in isolation. So if they are producing in isolation, kumaanisha the demand will not be equal to supply, meaning they will not rely on each other if they do not produce in isolation. So they produce and they sell it to the people. So meaning each sector depends on each other. Each sector depends on each other. Each sector depends on each other. What else can we add? We can say that the output of one sector, is input of another sector. That's what you need to know, that the output of one sector can be an input in another sector. So the output of one sector can be an input in another sector, or the final demand, or it can be the final demand, or it can be the final demand. The final demand. So then proportion of input output coefficient. Proportion of input output coefficient. Input output coefficient. Proportion of input output coefficient Kama rochena hiyo, let's just ignore this one. Haitatusaidia. But that is okay. Now, what are the purpose of this model? Purpose. Purpose number one. It is used to analyze interdependence in an economy. It is used to analyze interdependence in the economy. Interdependence in the economy. It is used to analyze interdependence in the economy. It is used to analyze interdependence in the economy. So it is used to analyze interdependence of the industry in the economy. Of industries in economy. Number boy. It helps the flow. It helps in the flow. It helps in the flow of products. It helps in the flow of product from each industry sector. From each industry sectors. So it helps the flow of product from each industrial sector. From each industrial sector considered as a producer. Considered as producers. Considered as producers to each sector. To each sector considered as consumer. So in short, tunamaanisha it helps in supply of goods from the producer to the consumer. So that's another purpose. It helps in the flow of product from the producer to the consumer. What else? To facilitate analyzing an economy. To facilitate analyzing an economy. Analyzing an economy. To facilitate analyzing an economy. So to facilitate analyzing an economy, which stresses interdependence. Which stress the interdependence. Which stress the interdependence. Which is the interdependence of economic activities. Or economic activity. And those are enough. Those are enough. You can talk about the types. You can talk about the types of input-output analysis. Now, another name of this input-output analysis is called the Leontief matrix. So, call it, other people call it the Leontief matrix. Leontief matrix, that's another name. Leontief matrix. Leontief matrix. Leontief. I think iko sawa sasa. I think that one is okay. Okay, let's talk about the components. Components of the input-output matrix. Components. Component. Components. Let's talk about now the components of this model. So components. So what are some of the components of this model? Ngoja niwatumie hizi notes. I don't know if kama mlisoma. Components. La. So tunasema components of input output. Components of input output analysis number 1. Let's talk about number 1. Inter-industry demand. Inter-industry demand. Inter-industry demand. And what are the inter-industry demand? This consists of the inputs purchased. This consists of the inputs. This consists of the inputs purchased and sold within the production sector. Purchased and sold. Purchased and sold within production sector. Within production sector. Within production sector. So that's what we mean. So this consists of the inputs purchased and sold within the production sector, excluding final demand. Excluding the final demand. Excluding the final demand. Excluding the final demand. Excluding the final demand. It represents intermediate consumption of goods. It represents intermediate consumption of goods. Consumption of goods. It represents intermediate consumption of goods. represent the consumption of goods and services to facilitate further production within the sector. Further production within the sector. Hiyo tumemaliza hivyo. That is number 1. Namba igere ama namba mbili, we can talk about final demand. Final demand. And what is final demand? Now, final demand refers, it accounts for final. It accounts for final consumption of goods and services. So it accounts for final consumptions of goods and services. And it is made up of goods. And it is made up of goods. Of goods not used in production. And then number 3, you have the total production, or can call them the output. Total production or the output. Total production or the output. This constitute of inter-industry demand, and the final demand, It is made up of those the 2 items. It is made up of the inter-industry demand and the final demand. You have the primary inputs. These include non-industry. We call them the non-industry inputs required in production. So we call them the non-industry inputs required in production. i.e. the factors of production. Factors of production. So an example are the factors of production. Total inputs. Refers to the amount of goods and services in production. Refers to the amount of goods and services used in production. used in production. It refers to the amount of goods and service used in production, and it equals to, and it is made up of, it is made up of the inter-industry demand, inter-industry demand, and the primary inputs. And the primary inputs. Okay. I think we can do now a question, but before we do a question, I think we need to do an analysis. Before we do a question, let us do something here small. So we do something small here. Okay, let me see. Now, let us introduce type of inputs, kwanza. Type of inputs output model. So you have two of them. Type of input output model. Number one, you have the open model. Open output model, input output model, input output model. And then we define it. We say so this is a model where so this is a model where this is a model where production is consumed. It's consumed by external. This is a model where the production is consumed by external bodies or sectors. Haya, hivi umemalizana na hivyo. External bodies or sector. Then you have the closed input output model. Then so this is a model where the production, this is a model where production is consumed. The production is consumed by those participating in the production. By those participating in the model, by those participating in production, the production. By those participating in the production. I think that one is okay. I think that one is fine. Now, let us give an example. Let us give an example. So now we are going to do an example. Before we go to our past paper. So tunasema example, we want to do an example. We want to do an example. 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 So let us do an example. Example. So we have this kind of a diagram. Let us draw it. So we have from we have A, B, and C. A, B, C. Then you have consumer demand. Consumer demand. We have consumer demand, and then we have total demand. Total demand. So inakaa hivyo. So we have 50, 20 na 30. We have 20, 30 na 20. 40, 20, 20. We have 70, 90, 50. Then you have 180, 160, 120. Now required, develop input output matrix. That's the requirement. So develop input output matrix. So develop input output matrix. Develop input output matrix. Develop the input output matrix. Other people call them the technical coefficient matrix. Some people will call them technical coefficient matrix. Others will call them the technical coefficient matrix. So in an example, I can develop the technical coefficient matrix. Just know inamaanisha the same thing. Just know it's the same thing. So or the technical coefficient or the technical coefficient matrix. Now this is how you develop it. This is how you are supposed to develop it. This is how you are supposed to develop it. And you can say number one, so we have the total demand, as you can see. We have the total demand, so we can say, so this one, A, B, and C, this part, kutoka hapa, A mpaka C, we call them the inter-industry demand. Inter-industry demand. Plus this one, consumer demand, we can call them the final demand. Final demand. So kutoka hapa, kutoka from A to C, we call them the inter-industry demand plus this one is the consumer demand. Consumer demand is the final demand must be equal to the total, the final demand. So the total demand is the total output. Call them the total output. Total output. And you can try and define. So you call 50 plus 20 plus 40 plus 70. Unaweka kama inapeana 180. So if you add, so 50 plus 20 plus 40 plus 70, it must give you 180. If the item is correct. So ni 50 plus 20 plus 40 plus 70. Inakupatia 180. That one is correct. Ukichukua ingine 20 plus 30 plus 20 plus 90 inakupatia 160. Kumaanisha 20 plus 30 plus 20 plus 90 inakupatia 160. That one is correct. That one is correct. Now let us develop the matrix. Let us develop the matrix, and this is how you find it. So if we have A, for example, we want to find for this part, itakuwa ni 50 over 180. Now 50 over 180. Ukitaka find ya B, chini ni 20 over 180. Now kumaanisha the first row can only achieve a total output of 180. Inamaanisha hivyo. Now the second row, which is EB, 20, 30, and 20, 30, and 20 can achieve an output of 160. And the last one, 40, 20, 20 can achieve an output of 120. So that's 50. So the first one will achieve 180. Then 30 over 180. The same process you repeat to the others. The same process you repeat to the others. So the same process. So repeat to the others. Mnaambia mnapata ngapi? Ya pili ni 20B. Tumesema first one inaenda na ya kwanza. Ya pili inaenda na 160. So the first one A inaenda na 180. So ni 50 divided by 180, 20 divided by 180 na 30 divided by 120. Divided by the 180. So 50 divided by 180, 20 divided by 180 na 30 divided by 180 ndio hiyo hapo. Ya pili itakuwa tuko kwa B, 20 divided by 160, 30 divided by 160.
Screen imepotea.
Tunasema ya 20 divided by 160, 30 divided by 160 na 20 divided by 160. Ya tatu. So ya tatu na ile ya mwisho 120. So 40 divided by the 120, 20 divided by 120, na 20 divided by the 120. So hiyo tutakuwa bara ya tuliko coefficient. So tumalizie itakuwa inakaaje? So 50 divided by 180, 50 divided by 180, 50 divided by 180,
5 over 18. 0.
5 over 18. My job. Itakuwa 0.28. Tuweke two decimal place. 20 divided by 180 itakuwa ni 0.11. Then 30 divided by 180 is 0.167. Ya pili 20 divided by 160 itakuwa ni 0.13. 0.13. 30 0.119. Then next one 0.13. So we make into two decimal place. 40 divided by 120, which is 0.33. 0.33. Then 20. Sorry, it's supposed to be 40. Well done. 120, 0.33 sawa, and then 20, 0.17. And then hii itakuwa pia 0 point. So that's how we're supposed to find the technical coefficient matrix. Tuko sawa? Tuko sawa hadi hapo?
Yes.
Yes, so that's how we are supposed to find it. Now we can go to another illustration. I think we have another illustration. Hakuna. So we can talk about the relative open model. Let's talk about the relative. So remember that one is for open model actually. It's tunafanya. Remember it's for open model. So remember that one is for an open model. This one is for open model. Open model. So relative matrix. Open model. Leontief matrix open model. Leontief matrix open model. So tunasema hivi. This is what we say. Tunasema hivi. A plus D equals to X. Remember, A is our inter-industry, D is our final demand, and X is our total output. And X is our total output. Now, we can say that let me just a moment kidogo tu. Tunasema I want to derive, there's something I want to derive. Find A, if we want to find A, there's something I want to derive, kama ndaipata. Naitanga the let me see just a moment. I want to find this item. So the model mwisho inakaanga hivi. This is how the model look like at the end. So your model at the end it should look like this. I minus A inverse times D. So at the end, your model inafaa ikuwe na kitu kama hiyo. Okay, I will show you how to derive later. Let us not waste time. So this is your open model, this one. So your open model inakaa hivi. X is equals to I minus A down B ni nini? Minus 1, and then you multiply with D. So where? I'll just tell you later what it is, but for now, I think you shall go with it. D is the final demand. D, final demand. We have A, technical coefficient matrix. Technical coefficient matrix. Technical, this one, you will find kama hii sasa. This one is A. This I represent A. So you kama kusema A. Technical coefficient matrix. Coefficient matrix. Then you have I, is an identity matrix. I, identity matrix. I is identity matrix. I is identity matrix. then I minus A. So identity matrix minus technical coefficient matrix, then the inverse is called the Leontief matrix. The Leontief matrix. The Leontief matrix is what we call the Leontief matrix. Leontief, sorry, the Leontief inverse matrix. Leontief inverse matrix. And then you have another matrix here. Hii unaweza sema tu I minus A without the inverse hapa juu. Without this inverse hapa juu, tunaita the Leontief matrix, just Leontief. Leontief matrix. Leontief matrix. And then X dot output. So X is our total output. X is our total output. X is our total output. So let's go to our past paper. Let's start with the one for November 2019. Let us start with the one for November 2019. Let us start with the one for November 2019. So someone to open for us. Someone to read for us November 2019. Let me download the past paper. Sababu sina kwa simu. So QA past paper. So someone to open that question at some. Nara tusomee swali. Who will read for us that question? So that question is for which November 2019. November 2019. We start for November 2019. So downloading, let me. So mine is still downloading. So November 2019 equal page. Let me naambia tu sahi.
Question.
Angalia imeandikwa mambo na input output analysis. Iko which page?
Page 60.
Ni kama yangu nako tofauti. November 2019. Kama yangu nako ni tofauti kabisa. So yangu iko huko chini. November 2019 question number 1C. Number 1C. Question number 1C. Aya. Let us do that question together. So the question I read even that a small economy has two sectors, namely X1 and X2, producing a single product for internal and external demand in units, as summarized in the following transactional matrix. Now, tulisema anything ikiwa in form of a table is a transactional matrix. So tupate ikiwa in form of a whole figure, kama hii swali iko in whole figure, is called the transaction. But ikiwa in terms of ratio, inaitwa the technical coefficient matrix. Now, so ametupatia in form of a whole figure. So let us say them. So we have producer. We call the producer in this side, X1 and X2, then consumer, X1, X2. We have consumer demand, consumer demand, then final demand, then final demand. Kiachora hivyo uko sawa. So tuko na ngapi? 500, 600, 800, 1.4, 1.4. Then we have 200, 200, and 400. Now give me the final demand. Give me the final demand. Final demand.
1,500.
1,500. Yeah. Next. Yes, next.
2,400.
2,400. To make your concept that this one. So this part is the inter-industry demand. Inter-industry. Then this part. Right, Ajay? Yeah, final demand. See,
Final demand. Final demand.
Yes, and then ya mwisho.
Total output.
Total output. That's the concept. Now, we need to find the technical coefficient matrix. Technical coefficient matrix. So tulisema itakuwa we have x1, x2, x1, x2. So then after direct, you know the procedure. So the first one anaenda na 1,500, then this x2 anaenda na 24. So ya kwanza 500 divided by 1,500 itakuwa ni 500 divided by 1,500. Na mwingine atakuwa ni 600 divided by 1,500. Au mwingine atakuwa 800 divided by 2,400. Na mwingine atakuwa ni 1,400 divided by 2,400. So what will be your matrix for 500 divided by 1,500, which is 0.33. Then you have 600, 0.40. Then 800 divided by 2,400, same 0.33. Then 1,400 divided by 2,400, which is 0.58. Mapata hivyo? So that's what we call the technical coefficient matrix. Uko sawa?
Yes.
Which is equal to what? Which figure? A. Is that one correct? So alikuwa anasema ni part A.
Yes.
Sorry, we find the total output. Now, for you to get the total output, X is our total output. Remember, we say that X is equals to identity matrix minus A inverse times D. So dx is our gross output. So X is our gross output. So let us find it. So we want to find X. Now X will be equal to. So identity matrix for this one is 2 by 2 matrix. Now identity matrix for 2 by 2 matrix me 1, 0, 0, 1. Is that one correct for identity matrix for 2 by 2 matrix?
Yes.
Yeah, we less A, which is 0.33. Let us find kwanza I minus A. Tutafute hiyo kwanza I minus A 0.33. 0.33, 0.40, 0.58. Then I find what I minus a first. So 1 minus 0.33 is 0.67. So tumesema 1 minus huyu, and then 0 minus 0.33, 0 minus 0.33, itakuwa ni minus 0.33, and then 0 minus 0.4, itakuwa minus 0.4, 0, and then 1 minus 0.58, itakuwa ni 0.52, 0.52. I think hapo tuko shwari kabisa. Now let us find I minus A inverse. So how do you get the inverse of a matrix? This is our matrix. The first thing we find is determinant. Civil. We start by the determinant. Determinant. So the main diagonal itakuwa ni 0.67 times 0.52 minus 0.40 times minus 0.33. Mnapata ngapi? What is your inverse? So 0.67 0. Ala, nimefanya nini bwana? 1 minus 0.58. This is supposed to be 0.42. Ndio nimenotice hapa kuna makosa. 42. So 0.67 times 0.42 minus 0.4 times minus 0.33. So mimi napata 0.1494. Unapata hivyo? Now let's find the inverse. Now inverse itakuwa, so the inverse itakuwa ni 1 over the determinant. So 1 over 0.1494. Then we change the item. So this one is I. Hapa kwa tungetoa hii hapa, back to determinant, so that tuseme hapa I minus A inverse. Now we interchange the original matrix, the matrix 0.42, we interchange na ile ingine 0.67. Then we change the sign for the other one, so interchange sign. So kama hapa ni minus, itakuwa positive. Na pale kama ni minus itakuwa positive 0.33. Umeona mpaka hapo? Now you can get the final one. Sasa. Yes. Yes. Kuuliza. Okay. I think hapo itatoshea. So let's find out the final figure x is equals to 1 minus A inverse multiplied by D. So tukuje tuweke. So x will be equal to 1 over 0.1494, 0.42, 0.40, 0.33, 0.67. Then our demand. Any question demand apart from this demand ya 20 na 400? Do you have any other demand kwa swali? Tutumie yenye tumepata kwa swali. Yes. The consumer demand, so tutumia hii to predict, tutumia yenye tumepata kwa swali. So tumepatiwa 400 and 800. 400 and 800. I hope you can see that one. 400 and 800. 400 and 800. So let's find the final figure. So x itakuwa, so x1, so we need to find for x1 and x2. X1 and X2 because we have sector 1 and sector 2. So for sector 1 itakuwa ni 1 over 0.1494, then multiply with, so this one, so 0.42 times 400 plus 0.33 times 800. Ya pili nilipeke chini kidogo, x2 itakuwa ni 1 over 0.1494 times, now itakuwa ya chini 0.40 times 400 plus 0.67 times 800. Hiyo swali tumemaliza hivyo. Any question? Now find the answers. Tunasema 0.42 times 400 plus 0.33 times 800 divided by 0.1494. So this one is 2891.56. This is the final demand for X1. Then 0.4 times 400 plus 0.67 times 800, then answer divided by 0.1494. This one is 46.58.63. Hiyo swali kwaje watu wangu? That marks the end of that question. Hard or easy? Hard or easy? Or easy or hard?
Simple.
Yes, that is very simple. Let's look for another question. April 2023. Let's go to April 2023. April 2023. April 2023. I think you go June. April 2023. So April 2023, question number 3. April 2023, question number 3. It was 12 marks. It was 12 marks. So you can do that one. You can try and do that one. So let us see that question. Let us see that question together. So should I wrap this one? You wrap this one?
Yes, you
Yes.
can drop.
Sawa. So let me read the question. This is what the question says that the question, sorry, this one is for April 2023. AP 2023. Question number 3A. It is 12 marks. It is 12 marks. So we need to draw the table. So we have the output. I prefer to call them the producers. So we have X1, X2, and X3. Then we have the users or the consumers. So X1, X2, X3. Well, I mean, I prefer to use the words. Then we have the final demand. Final demand. Then we have the total output. Then you have the total output. Sawa sawa. Hiyo ni sawa pia. Let us put them. So 40, 40, 100. 40, 40, 400. Yes? Yes? Nani wewe unasemaje? Ni Brenda?
No.
Okay. So 40, 40, 400. 40, 80. 40, 80. 1,200. 40, 80 to 80. 40, 80 to 80. Then you have the 680. 680. 1,400. 2120. Now find the total. The total one. So itakuwa ni 40 plus 40 plus 40 plus 680. So it's 800. 40 plus 80 plus 80 plus 1,400, which is 1,600. 400 plus 1,200 plus 280 plus 2,120. 4,000. I can get our matrix. We call it the technical coefficient matrix. Technical coefficient matrix. Tunaitanga A, call it A. Itakuwa ni 40 over 800. 40 over 800 na 400 over 800. Hiyo ni ya kwanza. Then 40 over 1,600. 80 over 1,600. And then 1,200 over 1,600. Then again 40 over 4,000. 80 over 4,000. Then to 80 over 4,000. Let's find our matrix. So 40 divided by 800, which is 0.05. Next also the same, 0.05. Then 400 divided by 800, which is 0.5. Here goes out. Then 40 divided by 1,600, which is 0.0025. So kumaanisha itakuwa 0.2 hapa. Ndio ziambatane 1 2 3 4. Ndio zikuwa at least zinaambatana. 80 divided by answer itakuwa ni 0.05 0.2. Then 1200 divided by 1600, which is 0.7500. 40 divided by 4000, 0.01. Then 80, one is 0.0200. Then to 80 divided by 4000, 0.0. Yes.
Hiyo ya 40
Yes.
si 0.2. Hiyo
Ya 40
ya
gani?
katikati ya 40 over 1600. Hapana, ya kwanza.
Hapa.
Mm.
Hii.
Ya kati ya kwanza 0.0 inafaa iwe 0.02.
Wapi? Hii unasema hii?
Yeah.
40 divided by 1600. 0.025. Hivyo.
Yeah.
Ika hivyo. Ndio ziko sawa. Now we know, but we know that x is equal to 1 minus a inverse, then multiply with our demand. Now we need to find that one. So let us start with 1 minus a. 1 minus a itakuwa ni 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. That's the identity matrix. Minus a 0.0500 0.0500 0.5000 0.025 0250 0.0500 na 0.7500 na pia hapa ni 0.0100 0.0200 na 0.0700. Itakuja ngapi? So 1 minus 0.0500 inakuwa ni 0.9500. Then zitakuwa sa negative 0.0250 minus 0.0100. Ya pili itakuwa ni minus 0.0500. 1 minus 0.0500 itakuwa ni 0.9500. 0.9500. Then the last one itakuwa ni minus 0.0200. Then ingine itakuwa ni minus 0.500. Ingine itakuwa ni minus 0.7500. Then 1 minus 0.0700 itakuwa ni 0.9300. So kumaanisha now you need to find 1 minus a inverse ni kama swali mpaka hapo. Tayari tumefanya matrix 3x3 matrix inverse. We were supposed to do it at the end of this topic. Ni kama swali tutaachia hapa. Ni kama tutaachia, we need to find the determinant. So hii swali for now itabidi tumeiachia hapo, tukuje tusome 3x3 matrix. So nilikuwa nimepanga tufanye 3x3 matrix at the end of this topic. So kumaanisha tutakuja kufanya 3x3 matrix, kushamaliza then tumalizie swali. So wacha one full page, leave a one full page kwa sababu ni mrefu sana, So this one kumbe ni 3x3. So this one requires a lot of working. So for now we will prefer tuiachie hapa, then tukuje tufanye 3x3 matrix so that we tufanye swali sasa back. I think that will be okay. So I think we shall meet, we do 3x3 matrix after we have managed to complete this topic, input output analysis, so that you can do this question. But the procedure is the same. Once you get the inverse matrix, then you are good to go. So up and kuna issue now to get the inverse matrix of 3x3 so that you multiply with our demand. The demand is still the same kwa swali. So I think it will be okay if we ishie hapa, you leave one extra page for this question. Itakuwa sawa?
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, so that we complicate maneno. Now I want to give you an assignment. This assignment is on I think I need to show you. Open December 2023. I think this one I will need to show you. December 2023. December 2023. December 2023. December 2023. December 2023. December 2023. I think this one I need to show. This one imefikia hapo. We shall continue from that part. Hiyo swali. So save that part. Tutakuja kuifanya later. But kuna this question I want to show you now. Two of them. So one nitafanya. The other one now it will be upon you to do them. So let us start with December 2023. December 2023. I think it's question 4. December 2023, I think it's question number 4. Yes, question number 4A. Question number 4A. And this is what the question reads. Nasema, an economy is based on two sectors, agriculture and manufacturing. Tutasema producers, we have agriculture as A, and manufacturing. Then we have the user, agriculture and manufacturing. Evolve. Again, of manufacturing. The production in worth agriculture. Production of shillings worth of agriculture requires an input of 0.3 from the agriculture sector and 0.1 from manufacturing. And then the other one, production or in shillings worth of manufacturing requires 0.2 from agriculture and 0.4 from manufacturing. Find out the output of each sector. Need to satisfy the demand of 12 billion for agriculture and 8 billion for manufacturing. Hiyo swali ni rahisi sana. Now, this is what you need to know. Before you do this question, you need to know this item. And B, you need to know this one. And you say, let me give you the row shows the output. While the column shows the input. This is what you need to know. Na nikisema hivyo namaanisha nini? Namaanisha inaenda hivi. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Row itakuwa inateremka hivi. Kama ni column inaenda hivi. Tuko sawa? I think that will be the easiest way to understand. Let us now read that to answer, give that question. Now wanasema the first one that production in shillings worth of agriculture requires 0.3 of output input and 0.1. Kumaanisha inaenda aje? 0.3 na 0.1 inaenda hivyo. 0.3 na 0.1. So inaenda hivyo. 0.3 na 0.1 inaenda hivi. But kama wangekuwa wamekwambia ni output, be very keen. Kama shule ilikuwa amekwambia that, wangekuwa wamekwambia production in shillings worth of agriculture requires an output of 0.3 for agriculture and 0.1 from manufacturing. Yako ingeweka 0.3 then uweke chini yake hapa 0.1. Kama angekwambia output. Lakini ndio alikwambia ni input unapeleka hivi. Tuko sawa? Wenye mko ndani ya class? Tuko sawa?
Yes, tuko sawa.
So make sure you remember that one. So make sure, and then the next one tuambia, let's read the question, the other one. Production on shillings requires 0.2 input of agriculture. Inaenda hivi, ukiona input juu tu inaenda hivi, horizontal, and 0.4. This one represent A. That one automatically represent A. Now we can get our output. So we know that X is equal to 1 minus A inverse multiplied by D. So what can we say? We can tunasema 1 minus sorry, not 1. Itakuwa ni 1 minus A, which is the same as 1 0 0 1 minus 0.3 0.1 0.2 0.4. Sio mnamalizia swali? Ama tumalizie? Can you finish this question? Uh, 0.7, negative 0.2, negative 0.1, 0.6. We can find the determinant. So itakuwa ni 0.7 times 0.6 minus negative 0.2 times minus 0.1. Itakuja ngapi? So 0.7 times 0.6 minus to bracket 0.2 times 0.1. So inapata 0.4. So kumaanisha 1 minus A inverse itakuwa ni 1 over 0.4. What? Then we find we change the main diagonal 0.7 na 0.6. Sorry, 0.6 na 0.7. And the other one we change the signs, so itakuwa ni positive na positive. Now we can find our X. Itakuwa ni 1 over 0.4. Nani anasema apologies, kuna nini bwana? Kuna nini? Kwani kuna nini bwana? Nimemkosea nini? Oh, anasema alikuwa na cut. Mungesema mko na cut, you do not communicate anyway. Sawa sawa. 0.6, 0.2, 0.1, 0.7. Then our demand alituambia ni 12 million na 8 million. So find those figure. Walituambia the demand is 12 and 8 from the question. We find the demand for, the final demand for, we're supposed to find the final demand for 12 million, 12 billion and 8 billion. So start with the first one. Let us start with agriculture. Let us start with the agriculture. We start with the agriculture. Agriculture itakuwa ni 1/0.4, then 0.6 times, so 0.6 times 12 plus 0.1 times 8. Then ya kwanza. Then you have manufacturing, itakuwa ni 1/0.4, itakuwa 0.2 times 12, 0.2 times 12 plus 0.7 times 8. To find the figures, itakuwa 0.6 times 12 plus 0.1 times 8 divided by 0.4. So that will be equal to 20 billion. 20 billion for agriculture sector. 20 billion. Then 0.2 times 12, 0.7 times 8 divided by 0.4. Same, they will share the common 20 billion. 20 billion. That one is a question for December 2023, question number 4A. It was as easy as 2, 3, 4. Now, I want to give you an assignment. The assignment is for May 2018. May 2018, 1C. So assignment, May 2018, question number 1C. That one marks the end of input-output analysis. Do you have any question? Now, Ebu, develop for me do part A of May 2018, and you give me the answer. For May 2018, question 1C, I want to give me the answer for part A before we end the class. Nione kama umeelewa what we have been doing. So I think, but input-output analysis, that is the end of the question. Unless you have a question. Now we have another one here. August 2024. I'm not in August. Let's start with August 2024. Let's start with August 2024. Yes, let's start with August. August 2024. Question number 3A. Question number 3. Find for me part A. 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 Or we do it. We can do it for the purpose of those who are class late. We can do it for them. We can help them to do that question. Let us do that on August 2024. So nataka nivute hapa, so nye screenshot. So you can screenshot as I rub it. So I want us to do this on August 2024 together. Then nyinyi mtafanya May 2018. I will share the PDF. This answer is there. Kuna PDF ndo watumia. You can also use from that PDF to do the question. So let me do for August 2024. Let me do for August 2024. Tuko sawa? Naweza endelea? So let me do away with this one. So tunasema August 2024. So August 2024. Let us read the question. And this is what the question says. So an economy produces food, so tunasema hivi. So we need the producer. So nataka niandike kwanza. Producers. Then you have the users. So an economy produces food, clothing, and shelter. So food, clothing, and shelter. This is 3 by 3. So we have food, clothing, and we have the shelter. Food, clothing, and shelter. Now, we need to find our technical coefficient matrix. So anatuambia hivi, let us read the question. So an economy produces food, clothing, and shelter. To produce 1 unit of food, it requires 0.6. Now, to produce 1 unit of food, it requires 0.6 units from food sector, 0.2 from clothing, and 0.1 from shelter sector. Now, to produce a particular unit, you require something. Now, that's something that you require. Is it an output or an input? Is it an output or an input? Yes? 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 Nataka mnijibu hiyo swali. In order to produce something, do you require input or output? Yes?
Input.
Now input kumaanisha kwa swali yetu, we shall record these items horizontally. We shall record this item horizontally kumaanisha itakuwa ni 0.6, 0.2 and 0.1. Itakuwa inaenda hivi. 0.6, 0.2 na 0.1. But kama ingekuwa this item represent output, tungeteremka hivi chini. Tuko sawa? Kama ingekuwa output tungefanya nini? Tungeenda chini, tungeweka 0.6, 0.2, 0.1 kama ingekuwa ni output. But because they are input, tunaenda hivi. Tuko sawa? Haya, mzee mko ambiwa. Next one itakuwa ni 0.1, 0.1, 0.4 na 0.2. Alafu ya mwisho ni 0.1, 0.4, 0.4. 0.1, 0.4, 0.4. Mumeona? Mumeicheki? Now number 2, that's number 1. Number 2, wanatuambia compute the total output for food, clothing, and shelter if the final demand is 50 and 400. So final demand tunasema ni X is equals to identity matrix minus A minus 1, then multiply by demand. Now, this examiner was very good. Tupatia our identity matrix. So 1 minus A inverse itatupatia hiyo fika hapo chini, umeshatupatia 1 over 0.086. So aishatupatia. So hii swali ilikuwa mzuri sana. 0.28, 0.16, 0.10, 0.08, 0.23 na 0.09, 0.10, 0.18, 0.22. Haya, tumeshapatiwa, so kumaanisha our x itakuwa 1/0.086 0.28 0.16 0.10 0.08 0.23 0.09 0.10 0.18 0.22. Then our demand, I'm going to the final demand is 50 and 400. 50, 400, 400. 50, 400, 400. Now let's find the final. Let us find the final one. So it wasn't at the first one, it wasn't a food. Let's start with the food. Let us start with the food. Then ingerudisha kidogo ndio itoshee food. So food itakuwa ni 1/0.08. Then you open the bracket. So itakuwa ni 0.28 times 50 plus 0.08 times 400 plus 0.10 times 400. Hiyo ni ya kwanza. Tukimaliza kwa food naenda kwa clothing. 1/0.08 0.16 times 50
0.089 ama ni 0.086.
kwa swali, let me check. Uko sure?
0.086.
Oh, hapa ni 6. Sawa sawa. So 0.23 times 400. 0.18 times 400. And then we have food, clothing, and shelter. 1/0.086 0.10 times 50 0.08 times 400 0.18 times 400. Right? 0.09 this one. Now 0.22. So give me the final figures. Manipate the final figures. Manipate the final figures. Aya, nangoja, I'm waiting for your answers. Tunasema 0.28 times 50, 0.08 times 400, 0.1 times 400 divided by 0.086. Nimepata 1K. Sharp. Then 0.16 times 50, 0.23 times 400 plus 0.18 times 400 divided by 0.086. 2,000. Berapa 2,000? Yes. Berapa dah 2,000?
Yes.
Yeah. 0.1 times 50 plus 0.09 times 400 times 400 divided by 0.08. So it's 1,500. Are you getting 1,500? Yes.
Yes.
I think iko sawa sasa. Sasa na hata sio swali imeisha hivyo. Kuna anything else? Is there anything else? Kuna kitu kingine kweli? Kuna mwenye anasema we share the video after class, ni sawa. We shall get the video. We shall get the video, that is not a worry. Aya, tumalizie the last part. I think nimeona kuna last part pia ina require something. The last part wanasema nini? The last part wanasema, the last part, where is it? The last part iko wapi? Sorry, nimepotea tena. Ilikuwa August, ilikuwa December, ilikuwa August 2024. No, nimetoka huko August 2024. So account for the usage of clothing for the sector output. So let us account for whether it's part A, part 2, part 3. Let us account for usage. Under clothing. So we account for usage under clothing. Now clothing, ukija kwa clothing we have 0.2. We have 0.4 and 0.4. 0.4 na 0.4. Now let us account for it. Itakuwa ni 0.2 times 1,000. Then 0.4 times 2,000. And then 0.4 times 1,500. That's how you accounted for it. So itakuwa 0.2 times 1,000. 200. 0.4 times 2,000. 800. Then 0.4 times 1,500. 600. So that's how you account for the usage. So that is the usage for what? That is the usage for clothing. That is the usage for clothing. I think that one is correct. I think there is nothing more or less on it. I think because any question? Any question concerning that one? Swali yote? Yes? Any question? I think we don't have any question.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So the usage ya clothing itakuwa niyo 200, 800, 600. Do we sum ama tunaachia tu hapo?
Unaachia tu hapo.
All right.
Yeah. So when we meet again, God willing, we shall come to do a question or to continue with that question where the demand, the matrix is 3 by 3, and we are required to come up with a Leontief matrix, inverse matrix. That one will be fine. So we shall meet to do Leontief matrix for 3 by 3 matrix, for 3 by 3 matrix, for 3 by 3 matrix. That one marks the end of our class today. I think no one has a question now. No one has a question. So I'm going to share the video with you people. So don't worry.